strategy first was to talk to the subject matter experts and say, this is what good content can do for you, right? It can help build your reputation, it can increase readership, it can drive visitors. And this is a good example of a single white paper that this particular subject matter expert did on risk and fraud. And it immediately got the attention of the press because we did it right? We built the content, we pushed it out, and CNBC, as well as about 3 other networks, picked him up and started to interview him on this particular event. So it was very timely and acted as a good result mechanism to energize some of the other subject matter experts to do some things.
And so, I mean, a lot of us have subject matter experts. Within, Marketing Server MECLABS, we have the same thing, these great researchers and analysts that are working on these things. We all do. Can you imagine that Eric's subject matter experts, right, they're accounting professionals. So you can imagine getting them involved in writing and doing some of this content development is a challenge, so.
The only problem is sometimes you get guys with big egos after they've been on TV, and then it's hard to chill them out a little bit. So,
great.
The other strategy, of course, and most of us face this, is lead generation. We have a long sales cycle, 18 months, sometimes 3 to 5 years based on an audit if you're in the certain industries. And we decided that if we could get ahead of it, start to use certain tools to try and pick when hot regulatory issues would come forth, that we could get ahead of the market and start to create content, also leverage things like Google AdWords, and be the first out in the market when people started to search for that content. And this is a good example of a very specific lingo-ish term that CFOs use, NOL carryback. Your typical consumer or other non-financial executive would not use that term. So we bought that up very specifically. We didn't have a Google AdWords campaign about us. It was about this great free NOL carryback tax content that you can get in a webinar. And it drove, at a cost of $500, drove 300 visitors to download the content and attend the webinar. So it's a great return on investment for us. And it continues to be there to this day, because we're the only ones who wrote about it.
Great. And now with content, we talk a lot about repackaging. So
yeah, I've heard a lot of the readers, rather speakers here, talk about repackaging. Really important to help layer on your expertise. If you think about building white papers and thought leadership, most people keep to the top of the funnel. If you think about white papers, we tend to think about content types. So we think about certain things like white papers, which are pure education at the top of the funnel, but then we also try to continue to build more content around that topic to build nurture cycles. And so this is a good example of one article in a newsletter going to a webinar, press release, and we also did an audio podcast around it. And then we also try and add a local flavor to it by getting our subject matter experts to push it out to their audience.